Well, welcome to this certificate orientation session. My name is Hannah Cooper, and I'll be talking with you today about the certificate program in the Socio-Contextual Determinants of Health. I direct the certificate program, and I have the pleasure of working with Megan Sullivan, the Vichy ADAP, who coordinates the session.
Hi, everyone.
I'll be talking today about the purpose of the certificate program, its contents, and various logistical aspects of the program. Let's step back for a moment and discuss what the term socio-contextual determinants of health actually means. The World Health Organization, or WHO, has a great definition. It's my go-to definition for this term. According to WHO, the socio-contextual determinants of health are the conditions in which people are born, grow, live, work, and age. These conditions are shaped by distributions of money, power, and resources at different scales, at the global scale, national scale, and local scale. I love the WHO recognizes that these distributions, they don't just arise out of the ether. They're not fundamental facts that are unchangeable. They posit that these distributions themselves are created by policy choices that are made at local, national, and global levels. And that provides a nice hint for ways to address these distributions when they are the causes of ill health at a population level. WHO goes on to say that these conditions are mostly responsible for health inequities, and health inequities are the unfair and avoidable differences in health status seen within and between countries. Social policies, their enforcement, and characteristics of the places, the neighborhoods, the cities, states, where people live are all examples of socio-contextual determinants of health. Let's walk you through some examples. And I'll start with social policies. I have a great colleague who studies the relationship between the extent to which U.S. states enact policies that recognize women's rights. She explores how that relates to depression among women. What she has found time and again is that women living in states that do a better job of recognizing our rights, our reproductive rights, our economic rights, we are less likely to be depressed than women living in states that violate those rights. She's looked at that same exposure in relation to several other health outcomes and has found time and again that those states that violate women's rights are associated with poorer health outcomes among women. Turning now to the ways that policies are implemented and enforced, there are several colleagues of mine here at Emory who study law enforcement practices as a public health exposure. And what we have found time and again is that more aggressive policing strategies, particularly more aggressive drug-related policing strategies, are associated with higher rates of police brutality among African American men and women who are exposed to these forms of policing. Characteristics of the places where people live are also key determinants of health and well-being. People who live in neighborhoods with higher poverty rates are more likely to be diagnosed with asthma. My colleague Michael Kramer has done wonderful research on racial ethnic residential segregation, and what he has found is that there's a higher likelihood of lower birth rates, lower birth weights, and other adverse health outcomes, neonatal health outcomes, among African American residents of metropolitan areas that are more racially and ethnically segregated. Socio-contextual factors are powerful determinants of health and well-being in populations. They can directly affect health and well-being. And one example of this is when a particular kind of policing tactic directly leads to higher rates of police brutality in communities. These factors can also indirectly affect health and well-being by setting the conditions in which healthy behavior does or does not happen, or is not sustained. So for example, the CDC has guidelines around physical activity, what level of physical activity we should all be engaging in each week to lead to longer and healthier lives. It's much harder to meet those guidelines if you live in an area that has poor spatial access to parks or poor spatial access to safe parks. Socio-contextual factors are also powerful determinants of the public's health because of their scale. So I have a colleague who's doing great work on the extent to which states recognize the rights of communities who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or otherwise queer. And what he has found time and again is that states that don't recognize the rights of those populations have higher rates of suicide and depression among other LGBT populations in those states. So really that state level exposure has statewide impacts on the health of LGBT populations. The past 2 decades have witnessed, I think, tremendous growth in careers in the socio-contextual determinants of health. And I want to just walk you through some examples. There are many, many more. So health impact assessments are now being mandated by several cities in the United States and several countries globally. A health impact assessment is an assessment of the possible health effects of a social policy. So how might a social policy, minimum wage law, housing policy, how might that affect the health of populations? So health departments within areas that are now mandating health impact assessments, they're now hiring people, MPH level people, to conduct health impact assessments. And that's a crucial tool for assessing and intervening in the socio-contextual determinants of health. Health departments are also engaging in surveillance at the neighborhood level, and then engaging in interventions, funding and implementing interventions within neighborhoods to improve social conditions that affect health. Finally, NIH and the CDC are funding large portfolios of research on the social determinants of health. And it may be that you're interested in leading some of those studies eventually, or that you'd like to staff those studies. And this certificate program can help you to take a leadership role in those studies over time. The primary purpose of the certificate program is to create an intellectual home for students who are developing careers, studying and intervening in the socio-contextual determinants of health. Many of our students have an interest in social justice. Many of our students have an interest in health equity. There are 3 sets of requirements that you have to fulfill if you want to earn the certificate. You have to attend our colloquia series. You have to take certain core and elective courses, and you also have to complete a culminating experience before you graduate. The colloquia series consists of presentations from leaders in the field on some aspects of the socio-contextual determinants of health. We offer 3 events each semester. You have to attend 2 each semester that you're enrolled in the program. We invite luminaries in the field to come and speak to the students. In the past, those luminaries have included David Williams, Nancy Krieger, Anna Diaz-Rue, Mindy Fulala, people who are really shaping the direction of research and interventions in this area. So you have an opportunity to learn directly from them. For the coursework, you have to take 1 core class and earn 6 credits of electives from the course roster. The core class, you can choose either social epidemiology or the macro-social determinants of health, one of those 2. You also have to take 6 credits of electives from our course roster. And one of the reasons why we have created this additional requirement is that we want you to be able to tailor your learning in a topical area or a methodological area that resonates most closely with the career trajectory that you're forging for yourself. So if you're very interested in gender and health, there are courses on the course roster that will allow you to really refine your scientific understanding of the ways that gendered systems might actually shape health in the population. You have to earn a B+ or above in all of the classes that you take. Finally, your culminating project, which is either a capstone or a thesis, depending on which you choose within your department, must cover a socio-contextual determinant of health. And what I mean by that is that at least 1 research question or aim must pertain to a socio-contextual factor. My strong suggestion to you is that you share a draft of your research question or aim with me before you start to ensure that it meets this criterion. Before you graduate, part of the kind of graduation process for our certificate program is that you have to submit an abstract for review. And we'll make sure that this actually meets our standards. we'll circulate a reminder to you about this before you graduate. Please visit our website to learn more. If you'd like to enroll, the site actually has an enrollment form that you can complete online. Before you graduate, we'll also ask that you return to the site and complete the certificate completion form. And that documents the colloquia and the courses that you used to earn the certificate. When you enroll, we'll add you to our listserv. And that's a great way for you to learn about upcoming events, not just colloquia, but other events happening around Rollins, around Emory, around Atlanta that might be of interest to you. Definitely contact Megan Sullivan, and I have her email up here on the slide with specific questions. Also know that there'll be an on-campus Q&A that we'll be holding on Wednesday, August 30th. Starting at noon, running to 12:30, and then we'll have an opportunity for you guys to ask questions that have come up for you about the certificate program. Thank you so much for considering the certificate, and I hope to see you when you arrive on the 30th. Bye-bye.